Hello beautiful people, my name is Sean, and today we're going to go over how to come out to your school and or your teachers. Now obviously not every school is the same, and not every grade level is the same, so kind of take this advice with a grain of salt. Alright, first things first are your teachers. You want to do a bit of research on them beforehand, just to get an idea if it's a safe zone kind of area in their classroom. You can do this by going up to your friends and asking them if they've had that teacher before, and if they felt comfortable in that classroom. Secondly, on the first day of school, you want to get there as early as possible. This will allow you to go to the classroom before everyone else gets there, so that you can tell them about your names and pronouns personally. This kind of like face-to-face contact allows them to both remember you better and tell that you're serious about this. However, if you don't feel comfortable talking to them, or you can't go in early, or you just miss the first day entirely, then you can easily send them an email. Basically, you just want to say like, hey, these are my name and pronouns, and this is what they are on the roster, so that they can match you up. You don't have to tell them your life story, you can just keep it short and sweet. I'll put a quick example email below, but basically at the end of the email you want to write something like, can you send me an email back just so that you got this and confirmation kind of thing, and bye. This also applies if you tell them in person, because the first day of school is obviously very stressful for teachers. So if you can have them write it down on a post-it note or mark it on the roster directly, that'll really help them keep it in mind with all the other stuff that they're having to remember that entire day. It may just be easier for you to go ahead of time and write it down on a piece of paper and give it to them. This next point isn't much of a step, it's more of a suggestion for you to give to your teachers for students in the future. Do you know how some teachers will pass out slips of paper on the first day of school and it'll have like stuff like, oh, what are your hobbies and what allergies do you have, and what are some ways that are best helpful for you in how I can teach this class? Well, wouldn't it be nice if on the top of that paper they had a preferred pronouns and preferred name option so that you could put that down? And then at the end of the class, when they take up all the pieces of paper, that counts as the attendance, and so that they don't even have to say your name in front of the entire class. Maybe just try to encourage your teachers to do that. I know that we had one or two teachers that did, and it was really helpful in our school. Speaking of school, I spoke to my administration at my high school a while back before I got my gender and name changed, and they did explain to me that I cannot get it changed on the roster unless I've legally gotten it done. However, you never know, this could be completely different in other schools. I'm in the South, so that didn't really help. That being said, you can come out in a few different ways at your school. Now, your first option is word of mouth, although for many this has been very ugly and it's turned into very negative things by gossip. It doesn't always have to be that way. You know, some people just don't feel comfortable coming out in a huge expressive way. For me, if people had any questions about my transition, they either came up to me or they came to a GSA meeting and asked me there. Otherwise, I wasn't gonna go and approach people and tell them. I did for a few teachers just so that they knew, and a few papers that I wrote, I did talk about transitioning. But no, it's just all my close friends knew, and people either caught on like putting the pieces together or they just asked them. On the other hand, you can ask your school counselor and talk to them on their approach of coming out to your teachers in your school. This is especially good if you aren't out or you haven't come out to your family. Oh, but make sure that you double check on their confidentiality requirements. You see, most schools follow this kind of agreement where counselors must take appropriate action if students engage in behavior that presents clear and imminent danger to themselves and others. However, that's kind of a rather vague statement, and you don't want to get that kind of mixed up. Anywho, counselors can be a great tool because they have talked to all the faculty, and they have talked to all the staff, and they know the school inside and out. Alright, lastly, I'd just like to tell you guys to just breathe, because school is stressful, and life is stressful, but it's gonna be okay. If you ever feel nervous, or if you just don't want to come out this semester or this year, that's completely a valid reason. Do what's most comfortable for you.